Hey guys, welcome to Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews. I am your host Boise and this is SmackDown Live. Before we get started with the review today, don't forget to like, subscribe and press that bell to keep notified. Now I've said that, let's just hit the music. So we started off the show with probably the best feud going into the Royal Rumble. Asuka, Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. Now, all three women pulled off a fantastic job on the opening segment. Becky Lynch started off the show. She's over. It's not even hard to tell anymore. She's the most over superstar on both brands in my opinion. She's great to listen to. She's awesome. She is a modern day Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, some people will disagree, but I don't give a damn. She's a great speaker on the mic right now. She has confidence and the crowd absolutely love it. She was interrupted by Asuka, who cut a fantastic Japanese promo. She didn't speak hardly, actually she spoke no English at all. She just shouted in Japanese, and that's always cool when Asuka shouts in Japanese. And then Charlotte Flair comes out. She cuts a bit of a heel promo, very heel promo in my opinion. Charlotte and Becky Lynch are, it looks like they're giving each other a face off. And what happens? Asuka attacks Becky Lynch from behind. Both women start beating the crap out of each other. They go from the ring into the announcement table. Also, it still continued after the commercial break, when both women were fighting backstage. It's just building up the feud really well in my opinion. I think Asuka and Becky Lynch will have an absolutely brilliant match. I'm hoping Charlotte Flair somehow gets involved in their match and costs Becky the win. So it means that Becky has to enter the Women's Royal Rumble, kick Charlotte out and win the Women's Royal Rumble. So for me, I'm going to give this a 2.5 star because it pretty much was shouting and a bit of fighting. An okay start. Next up, we move on to the worst feud on SmackDown Live, and it's absolutely disgusting that this is getting highlighted. It even had a video montage before their match on SmackDown of Mandy Rose and Naomi. What the hell is going on SmackDown? We're getting this, yet we haven't had Shinsuke Nakamura or Rusev on this week's episode or last week's episode of SmackDown. This is an absolute crap. This feud is absolutely a waste of time. The only highlight is we get to see a bit more of Mandy Rose on TV, but that's about it. The match lasted as long as this rant is lasting, so that just tells you something again. WWE, we care about women's wrestling, unless it's people who aren't popular, and then they get a 5-minute match. Yay! Pretty much, Naomi looked like she was getting the win. Sonya Deville got involved. Mandy Rose used the distraction. She won. Bob's your uncle. There you go. This is getting a 1 star. It's a history of my show so far. A 1 star. Next up, we had Cesaro taking on The Miz in a singles match. Shane O'Mac was also out on the ringside watching on, as well as Cesaro's tag team partner Sheamus. This was an okay match. There was nothing too much to complain about it. Cesaro was in control for most of the match. I'm not gonna lie, it looked like The Miz was gonna start building up, and he had that good little babyface moment where he moved the momentum onto his side. But obviously Cesaro and Sheamus, they're good. They're a great heel team. They use their distractions to get what they needed to do, and Cesaro got the victory. Shane O'Mac also tried to prevent Cesaro from cheating, and that did cost him because Sheamus took out Shane O'Mac. I'm guessing if Shane is still making bookings on SmackDown, Cesaro and Sheamus just don't care anymore. And that's what it felt like. It was pretty much Sheamus and Cesaro beating up The Miz for a while. Then they put all their attention on Shane O'Mac, and they beat the living crap out of him and put both men through a table. pretty much this is looking like we're going to see Shane and The Miz somehow win the tag team titles at the Royal Rumble. I'm not complaining, it's just that we're getting more of this feud than we are. I'm going to say it again, Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura, where are these two on SmackDown Live? So yeah, it's going to get a 2.5 star. It was above average match. Next up, we had the face-to-face with Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, moderated by none other than Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon's just on TV. Vince McMahon it is just, you know, he is awesome to see back on TV, but it's getting a bit too much now. We're seeing him every bloody week now. And it was a fine little promo. It is literally Daniel Bryan cutting the same stuff he's already cut already. AJ Styles, it's the Unleash AJ style, the real AJ versus the new Daniel Bryan. I don't understand these nicknames. It's like, oh, the new Daniel Bryan, the real AJ Styles, blah blah blah. Oh, he's not going to get in the ring. Well, get in his face. And they start beating each other. It looks like AJ is going for the phenomenal elbow. What happens? Daniel just hides behind Vince McMahon. Then it's a running knee to his face. And Daniel is looking, superior. I'm going to give this a 1.5 star. It's mainly because the promos weren't anything in particularly special. And it's a shame, really, because now it's been a bit too much of a promo stuff and too little of the action. I wouldn't even mind a Teddy Long tag team match. You know what I mean? Holla holla. So yeah, it's just taken away from all of it. I'm gonna, like I said, 2 stars. Next up, we got Samoa Joe and Mustafa Ali yet again. This was supposed to be the match which combined of what happened last week when Mustafa Ali was brutally beating him, and we had a great video package from Mustafa Ali and Samoa Joe building up to this match. And again, I just don't understand the booking. It's like, oh, Mustafa's too popular for his own good, we'll have Joe squash him. And that's what it was. It was Samoa Joe squashing Mustafa Ali, and that's what we got. It was a terrible booking decision. Yes, I understand you want Samoa Joe to look strong going into Royal Rumble, because he's possibly, I would say, 3rd favourite to win it between Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. Samoa Joe's most likely 3rd favourite right now to win it. But my God, it just felt like a whole match where it was just, I'm going to squash Mustafa Ali, and Mustafa Ali had a few great offensive aerial techniques, but that was about it. And it was too little in the match, really. And again, it just kind of felt like a longer repeat of what Samoa Joe did to Mustafa Ali. So for me, I'm going to give this a 2 stars. Again, it just feels like exactly the same as what we got last week, but we got a bit of a match in between it. Samoa Joe did win with the Coquina clutch and took out Mustafa Ali, but it just feels like Joe is literally going out of his way to just bury Mustafa Ali right now. Last but not least, we had the match I was really looking forward to when they announced it on social media. Rey Mysterio versus Andrade and Rey in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Oh, this was a really good match, and I enjoyed every bit of it, and I even enjoyed the finish. Now, this just shows you how good, finally, putting Rey and Andrade in the main event just made sense. After last week's match was such a good one, the hype was on this one. And yes, it wasn't as good as what we got last week, I will grant it this, but the stipulation of a 2 out of 3's match was a stroke of genius, whoever wrote that, because it just gave it that little bit of, ooh, who's going to get the first round? Andrade got the first round. Rey reverted it and got a round to himself. It was all even, the final round between both men. They just pulled out all the stops, and what happens? What you don't expect to happen, Samoa Joe comes out and he destroyed Rey Mysterio and Andrade Cien Almas at the same time. It technically gives Rey the victory because he was the one he took out first, so it ended in, you know, Rey getting the final point. But that is not Andrade's fault. And Samoa Joe cuts a vicious promo stating he's going after everyone who's going to be in part of the Royal Rumble. And before he can finish saying his own damn name, RKO. That's right, Randy Orton comes out of nowhere, takes out Samoa Joe, and he puts a message to both Joe and 29 other men. Look, I'm the Viper and I have the most dangerous move in all sports entertainment. I actually like this finish. I know a lot of people are a bit annoyed that it ruined a really good match between Andrade and Rey Mysterio, but for me, I actually enjoyed this. It kind of goes, ooh, everyone's going out for each other. That's what the Royal Rumble's all about. And I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5 stars. I think it was entertaining, and the finish I actually enjoyed. There you go, guys. That was SmackDown Live for this week. What do I think? I thought, apart from the main event, nothing else was good. Maybe the New Day's promo backstage when they talked about how they all work together and if one of them wins, they all win. That was quite good. Apart from that, nothing else was that particularly interesting. It either felt like it was the same or it was just boring, like the Mandy Rose and Naomi feud. And where the hell is Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura? I know I've already said this in the review, but it's a bit of an annoyance for me, actually, because it's a title match we're going into, and we've already been told it's going to be on the kickoff show now. That's because you haven't advertised it, you haven't had those two on TV for weeks. So of course it's going to be on the kickoff show. That just shows you how much the US title is seen compared to its counterpart, the Intercontinental Championship, which is on Raw, which is probably the biggest belt on Raw, while the US title is just seen as a forgotten belt, it seems right now. So my final score for this week's episode of SmackDown Live, I'm going to give it a rough score of 1.5 stars. I think that's a fair score. I think the Rey Mysterio bit was the best bit, but yeah, everything else just sucked. So this week's winner is Raw. So again, Raw 2 wins on the trot there. But what was your favourite part of this week's episode of SmackDown Live? Most likely the Rey Mysterio versus Andrade bit. Leave it in the comments below, guys. If, like I said before at the start of this video, if you do like our videos, don't forget to like, subscribe, and press the bell to keep notified. And if you want to follow us on the old Twitter, it's at Boise88, and the channel's at Smack Talk YouTube. And I'll see you guys next time on Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews.